Welcome to Best Friends in Franchising. I'm Morgan Knoller.
And I'm Catherine Allen.
If you're curious about franchising or looking to diversify your portfolio, you're in the right place. We talk myths, money, mindset, and everything in between. Let's dive in. Catherine, why don't you tell us who we have on our podcast today?
So today's guest truly embodies someone who has entrepreneurship with heart. I'm so excited to welcome Sarah Nuse, the entrepreneur. She's a wife, a mom of three. She spent the past 20 years building Tippi Toes, a thriving children's dance franchise with locations across the world. Sarah is also an author, a speaker. She has her own podcast, an accountability coach, and creator of 7 children's music albums. You may even recognize her from season 2 of Shark Tank, going back a little bit with her business partner where they pitched the growing brand to sharks. What we love most about Sarah is her passion for helping women build successful businesses without losing sight of what matters most: family, faith, and fulfillment. We can't wait for you to hear her story and the wisdom she shares on today's episode. So, Sarah, you have an incredible story. Talk to us about your journey.
Well, thank you first for having me on. I love just getting to chat with girls, talk business and everything. So my journey actually started when I was 19 years old. I had just bought my very first car with my own money. I was waitressing at a little Mexican restaurant and then dancing professionally in the summertime at an outdoor theater, and had enough money to put a down payment on my car, but I needed to still keep that waitressing job to pay the monthly payments. Well, I'm a huge Oklahoma football fan, and Oklahoma was playing Notre Dame, and I got tickets. And without looking at the schedule, I just went off to the game, and I didn't realize I was booked to work that weekend. And so I came back, was looking for my name on the schedule, and my boss was like, "You've been fired. You didn't show up for work." And I panicked because I needed that, monthly car payment. And so I did what maybe most college kids do. I called my parents crying and asking them to send me money. But instead of handing me money, my mom reminded me, from the age of 12 to 18, I would teach dance in my front yard of my house in the summer. And that was just kind of my way to make money. And she's like, "Why don't you just go to the local daycare and see if you can teach dance?" So really, that's what I did. I walked in with a smile and a hope, and I said, "My name is Sarah, and I'd love to teach dance." The lady there was like, "What's the name of your business?" And just like I say my very own name, I said, "It's Tippi Toes." And she said, "Well, we'd love to have you." And so that truly was the birth of my company. I didn't realize at the time I was starting a business. I was really just trying to get out of a bad situation. But faith is a big deal to me, and I believe that the Lord had way bigger plans than I could have ever imagined. And I've been able to walk through that the past 26 years, kind of blindly going through it. I've learned a lot along the way, but that's the journey of how I ended up here today.
I love
that. I didn't realize that that was the initial start to Tippi Toes, but I think that's really inspiring. And then I'm curious because you started running these classes, Tippi Toes started to take off, but how did it go from this one, like just teaching Tippi Toes classes into building this nationwide franchise? Obviously, this was your initial challenge, was making money and teaching dance again. But then what was the challenge and how did that unfold in order to make this nationwide franchise system that you built?
So I did not set out to do that. What happened that first year, being a 19-year-old girl that really didn't have 2 pennies to rub together, I realized how simple for me it was to go to this school. This one school had 8 other locations. I didn't even know that going in there. And they said, really within the first 3 weeks, they were like, "Hey, can you actually just serve all of these schools?" And I was like, "Sure." Well, all of a sudden, the 2 pennies turned into dollars. And I'm like, this is so easy. I was doing it in between my classes at the University of Oklahoma. I was like the weirdo that showed up in class. This is back when I actually wore a leotard and a skirt. And I would just put a sweatshirt over because I had to like run from, my history class on the campus of OU over to a dance class. And I was just, I think, just born a hustler. And so I would do that throughout college. And it was just something that became it was fun for me, and I was making great money, and I was like, this is awesome. And my husband now, I had had the business for probably 9 months before I met him, and I kind of still was trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. I was a horrible student. I paid attention, but like school was so hard for me. I mean, every class, I wanted to be an elementary education major, but intro to elementary math, I failed it. Like, how do you fail that? And I was like, okay, how am I failing this? Like, if I can't even get through this, how am I ever going to be a teacher? So I kept hitting all these roadblocks. And so finally I went to my advisor and was just like, what can get me out of school? Like, I just need to get out of here, because I did want that degree, but I'm just really struggled. But my boyfriend at the time, now my husband, Adam, he was like, this is a really awesome business. And so it was the first time like I saw a goal sheet. He set up a goal sheet. He was a business minded guy anyways in business school. And he set up this goal sheet. He's like, you just color it in, you know? And I was like, that's amazing. And I'm an achiever at heart. And so I kept trying to achieve, and I'd go out to sell to schools. And it just was one of these things that I think when you work hard, a little bit of luck on your side, and you're passionate about something, like you can really move mountains. And so from that point, I was just kind of trying to figure out what I was doing. I went to live with my grandmother in Kansas City, all the while keeping my Oklahoma branch going. But I was like, let me see if this works other places, or maybe I just found a special spot for Tippi Toes. And what happened was I saw, wow, it works in Oklahoma and it works in Kansas City. Adam and I end up getting married. I'm kind of overseeing both of these locations. We moved to Texas, and I was like, well, I might as well start it here. So all of a sudden I had 3 locations, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty awesome. And so fast forward, I had been trying to figure out how can we grow more. Really, my heart was to have a children's TV show and to teach dance on TV. It's kind of hilarious now because there's YouTube where, everybody's like showing different things, but it was before YouTube was happening. I was like, it'd be really great. But producers told me, you won't be able to have a show unless you have a following. And I'm like, well, how do I get a following? I'm only in 3 locations. And so somebody gave us the idea of what about franchising? And that's the first time. It was not till 2009 that I looked at franchising. I was kind of just overseeing these other locations all the while it was growing. And so that was the start of kind of what was to come next.
Love that. I love that. And I'm laughing because Morgan and I own Soccer Stars, and a lot of our coaches go to college. And so I know a lot of my coaches are running from classes
Right.
to get to our after school soccer classes and doing the same thing. And they don't wear tutus but or leotards, but they have their
Yeah.
sweatshirts and jerseys and things. So some similarity there. I love that. So you have 3 children. Talk to us about how motherhood has influenced how you built and manage your business, and how that's played a role in shaping that.
Okay, being a mom is like the greatest gift ever. I'm so amazed. I told my daughter yesterday, I'm like, I can't believe I get to be your mom. Like, it's just so awesome to watch them grow into these amazing humans. But I didn't have kids when I started Tippi Toes. And so one of the most beautiful things for me was I ran Tippi Toes for, I guess, 6 years before I had my first child. And it wasn't until she was 2 that she started Tippi Toes. And I was seeing Tippi Toes through her eyes. I was like, oh my gosh, I started to see my business different. Instead of just business owner, I'm mom now, getting to see my child just enjoy it. And I think that was a moment for me that I wanted very much for my kids to see, hey, your mom works hard. She's available for you. She's at home when you come home, but you're going to see her on her laptop. You're going to work a recital. You're going to help in all the ways. Now my kids are older, so I have a 14-year-old son and a 15-year-old daughter and a 17-year-old daughter. And my 2 daughters are going to start working as teachers now. And so getting to see them do that and be able to have a manager that oversees them to kind of guide them, it's been so beautiful. And I really do think it's important that our kids see us as moms work really hard and build something and be passionate about something. And my biggest thing that I've tried to do as a mom is bring my kids in all sorts of areas. I've written a couple of books. A couple of them have been children's books, and I'll go through and say, hey, can you guys kind of pick out what doesn't sound right or what doesn't look right? Like I bring them in. My second daughter, Lola, she helped write on our last music album. So we have 11 now that are complete, and she has some songs on there, which was pushing her out of her comfort zone, but that was really cool. And so bringing them in and saying, hey, this isn't just my business, this is our family business, and we're going to work together and really build something great. And they've been able to see I'm not just a dance teacher, because I think for them, they're not dancers. So that kind of is not super fun for them, but they love the impact that we make in the lives of kids. And I think that's shown them that like you can really do anything that you want as long as you're passionate about it.
My dad used to tell me, do what you love and the money will follow. And he just like that is stuck with me
Mhm.
and in whatever I've pursued. And so I'm with you on that. And I love bringing in my kids. They love to help coach. I mean, they're 6 and 7, but I hope one day they'll be able to, be coaches with soccer stars and showing up and them seeing, just very, very aligned there. And I love
Yes.
that. And I know Morgan is too.
Yes, I try to bring my kids to any tabling event I can, just so they see the community outreach, because I do believe that yes, we're soccer coaches for sure, but we're running a business, so it's good for them to see how much work is involved. And I always tell them like your work right now is school. My work is now work, but I went to school to get to work. So it's kind of like this good synergy in our house where if they're working, I'm working, they're not by themselves, and I'm not on my phone or watching TV while they're doing homework. I'm working and they're working alongside each other. And I know one of my biggest fears going into franchise ownership was not being able to spend a lot of time with my kids, which is silly because I spend all the important quality time I'm there. Being entrepreneurs, I think there is a fear of burnout with especially moms, because we do it all and we feel like we have to do it all. And I just want, you have so much expertise. You've been doing so much for so long. What is your secret recipe to like creating habits and boundaries so you don't burnt out and you can keep expanding your brand?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's always work to be done. There just always is. And I think once I recognize that, like before kids, I could work all of the time. But really, my first calling is to be a great wife and a great mom. And I can't do that if I'm sitting behind my computer all of the time. Now, what I do love is to say, hey, this is the project I'm working on. I need 5 more minutes to do this. But I feel like that balance is important to always, use the term like play hard, work hard. Like we're going to play hard about 3 o'clock. I shut it down and I want to be very present with my kids. And I started doing that at a young age. Like I didn't want them to see me on my phone all of the time or in the car. And I've had other moms that have been a few seasons ahead of me say like that car time is like quality time. That's when kids open up. And so I've been really try to be engaged in that. Now I'm not perfect at it, but our kids, as they get older too, they get busier and busier. And so what's been interesting to me in this new season of them being a little bit older is they have sports after school. My oldest one drives. And so I was so hands-on, when they were in all their sports and doing all the things when they couldn't drive. But once she started to drive, they're gone from 7 to 5. And I'm like, I've never put this much time into work because I've always had to go get them. And so just really maximizing that time. I am big on blocking my schedule. I love to wake up early. And so I'll cut through a whole bunch of stuff before anybody's awake in my house, which I love. But then it allows me to be very present, getting their breakfast ready, having early conversations with them, getting them off to school. And I've just really, from the beginning, made that my mission because they are my mission field first. And I have had seasons where I felt burnt out. And it's when I reflect back, it's probably different. It's just different seasons of it. But I hold Tippi Toes probably higher than it should rank in my life. I realize when I keep my order right with God, family, then business, I don't get burnt out as much. But anytime Tippi Toes moves above to one of those other two, that's when I have to really reassess myself and be like, hey, it's not that big of a deal.
For that, I think that's just something that we all think about all the time. And even a family member recently said, you know, how often do you work, Morgan? Is it 100%? And I said, I don't even know what that would mean, but no, it's not.
Yeah.
I said I block my time, but I also said it's the kids' schedules, like what you were saying, get so busy that you have to block your time because of sports and after school activities. And mine don't drive yet. My son's 9 and my daughter's 5. And I can barely fit the 5-year-old into the 9-year-old schedule because he's so busy. And, you know, they're expected to play so many different sports, but then they also have homework. And so you have to block your schedule. There's no choice at
Right.
this stage in life.
Right.
And yeah, I know. I mean, part of my venture into owning my own business was, in my old corporate job, I was marketing for a senior care company, and I was on Zoom calls from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. at night. And mm, I couldn't, I had a manager I reported to. It wasn't on my time. And so I thought, because when I left that company, my kids were just entering into kindergarten and TK. And I was like, how on earth am I? Because when they were in preschool, they were there till 5, 8 a.m. to 5. But when they went to elementary school and they're out at 1:30 or 3, I'm like, how do people do this? I was, my husband was too. I was like, how do people do these pick? There was just no way with my old job and my schedule. So that was a big one of the reasons why I wanted to become my own boss, because, yes, do I work a lot? I'm working all the time, but it's on my time, it's on my schedule. And like you, my priority is to be, a mom and a wife, and my family is my priority, as is my business. But you're right with the order. And I think when you're starting a business, it's a lot. And you luckily started before you had kids. I did burn myself out. I absolutely took myself down. I was coaching 13 classes a week. I was doing all the things to grow the business, and I was exhausted on the weekends, and I wasn't showing up for my family or my kids because I was coaching, and then I was so tired. And I'm like, what am I doing? And so I had to kind of reflect and work on my priorities and what that looked like and my self-care. And so anyways, now
Something else.
we're in a much better place.
Yeah.
Question for you. You emphasize accountability as a key to growth.
Mhm.
What does that look like in action for franchisees?
Yeah, I think telling your day what your day is going to look like versus letting your day happen to you. I think so often there'll be fires that go on and you're just like running from fire to fire and trying to do it instead of saying, here's what my day is going to look like. I'm a big tracker. I love to track things from my workout to my eating to my time that I'm writing, or I really like that uninterrupted time where it's like I can't take calls. My mom told me this story one time. She had asked her friend, "Hey, you want to go to lunch or something?" I don't know what it was. And she asked her to do something, and her friend said, "Oh no, I can't. I already have something scheduled at that time." And so my mom was like, "Okay, no big deal." Well, my mom was driving and saw her friend walking, and they're good friends and stuff, but my mom was kind of like, "That's weird. She said she was busy." And so I think it nagged at my mom a little bit. And she's like, "I thought you were busy. Did your plans fall through?" And she said, "No, it was the time that I had scheduled to walk." And so I think so often we are like, that's not that important. Like we don't need to worry about that. But she was very diligent on like, I have to walk, it helps me or whatever, like that's important to me. And so when we prioritize what is important to us, otherwise our day dictates ourselves. So I think goal planning, okay, here is our goal for the week, the month, the year, and then you have to kind of backtrack it, and then you have to track it. You have to see. I know one time somebody asked me, "How often do you work out?" And I was like, "Oh, like 4 to 5 days a week." I started tracking it, and that was a lie. I wasn't. In my head I was, but it was really more like 2 to 3, and I was wondering why I wasn't seeing results because I work out all the time, but really that wasn't true. And so because things would come up, and so I started tracking it, like, no, I have to see what this is. And what I have found in every area is when I track it, then I do see results. And if I track it and I'm not doing well, then I also see those results. Like, this is why I'm not growing. And so I think holding yourself accountable, I think having people in your life to hold you accountable, and That's why I love my Tippy Toes team. They hold me accountable on a lot of things, and I do the same for them. And my husband does it. But I really believe that soil responds to seeds, not wishes. So many people wish things would be different, but really it's the seeds that we plant in good soil that will allow, fruit to grow in our life. And that's the goal at the end of the day, is to look up at the day, at the week, at the year, and say, wow, this is what I was able to do in this past year. And that's how I've seen Tippy Toes grow. And I always say it's those small daily deposits that equal great success. It's not for Tippy Toes. I couldn't tell you this was the moment that everything changed. It's been 26 years of planting seeds and watering it and watching it grow that now we're where we are today. I'm no different. Well, I guess I'm different, but I keep just doing the same things and get better in some areas. I fail a ton. And when I fail, I feel like I really learn the best in those areas. Don't love it, but I can grow as a person. So, but all of those moments equal 26 years of a pretty awesome business. So I think that's kind of how and why I feel accountability is so important.
I
I
completely agree.
Yeah, I agree too. I think it's so important and it's not talked about enough that you can't will it to happen. You have to actually plant the seeds and do the work and then it'll happen.
And you have to schedule the time. I mean, I'm with you. I'm very intentional with my time. When you're like all, kids and their all their things and their sports and their activities and running a business and doing all the things, Morgan and I franchise consult, there's a lot. Everyone's like, you guys have all of us have so much on your plate. It's like, yes, but I am very good at scheduling my time. And where I'm not good though is scheduling my self-care time and my workout.
Yeah.
So I do admit, podcast to the public, I need to get better at that because that's the one thing that falls at the lowest priority is me.
Yeah.
I put everyone else first. And I think
Yes.
women often do that. So, we're such, carers and nurturers and all those things. So I do need to get better at that and scheduling in that time. I love that story you told about your mom's friend in the walk because that's what I need to do to make it happen.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just won't.
Well, and I also think what you can do by doing that is you are a gift to your children because then they see moms caring for this. So as they get older, like that's just something we do. Like if it's a walk for you, like, no, my mom walks every day. Like they see that because we can tell our kids anything, but what they're going to really run with is what they see us do. And so moms do. I mean, me too. Like if my kids need something, drop everything and do it. I mean, that's just what we do as moms, but they also know like, hey, I quit making my kids lunches because I'm like, well, I got to work out in the morning or it's going to mess up my day. And so now you guys are accountable to make your lunches. And some days they have to eat hot lunch. God forbid, eat hot lunch. But, it's like, well, that was your job. And so it kind of, I think, helps them see like, oh, did you get a workout? And then for them to know, I got to get a workout too. Or did you finish your book like you said you were going to? And there's a lot of times I'm like, no, I didn't, but I'll do it again tomorrow, that sort of
Right.
thing.
Yeah, I noticed that even with my own son, we love to talk about, did his boxes get checked today? Did
Mm.
he have a healthy meal? Did he exercise? Is he feeling good about himself? And if he comes on in a bad mood, I'm like, which box didn't get checked? But I sometimes don't check my own boxes. I'm like, oh, I'm super tired today. And I look back and I didn't do what I was supposed to do. So I
Right.
think it's important for them to see, but kids are very routine and we should be too. There's no reason we have to fall off of our routine. So I love that. And I also, it kind of brings me into the next question because you have so many top performers in the franchise of Tippy Toes. What do you see consistent with them? And what does that look like as the top performers?
One of the things that I look at the most is high capacity people. I think when we're high capacity, we can take on a lot and we are diligent. You've heard the quote, maybe give your work to the busy people. I love busy people because they'll find a way to get it done. Some days when I don't have anything planned, I get the least amount done. Like you would think like, this is the day I'm going to get everything done because nothing's on my schedule. But really it's better when I have meetings back to back to back and then I have to sneak things in and I'm so much more productive. I think the same is true for my franchise owners. When they're high capacity, they can I look for two things. Can they sell well, and can they lead well? Because if you can lead a team and hold them accountable, now that's the big thing, is you can have a great team, but if there aren't expectations and you don't lead them well, then they're kind of out there flailing. So checking in on your team, and then either selling well to have your business grow or find people that do that. Those are the most important things. There's a clear difference of people that are hustlers. I love hustlers. I'm like, I don't care if you don't have a business background, but what have you done in the past that has allowed you to push your business forward? Or if you're, an athlete or a dancer, whatever you've done, like what have you strived for? Like I look for that sort of thing. And then I know, if we just give them our playbook, they'll be able to plug and play. Sometimes when people, aren't as busy maybe, which sounds crazy, but I feel like their performance is a bit lower than, a lot of these moms. That's why I think moms, like we have such a superpower. Like we can think of a million things and we can go from this to this to this to this to this. And also that's what business requires. And so I feel like the Lord has given us that gift where we can just do a zillion things. And so I think that is our superpower. And that's why I feel like so many women in our business are really successful. Now we have incredible men in our business too, and they're super successful. They're really great. But I think being able to juggle a home and a business at the same time is pretty spectacular.
100%. We talked about that, I think, on the podcast with Jessica, just the ability to multitask as a woman. And I was talking to my mom the other night, and, she's like, you do so well under pressure. We had our family photos, and I'm like, I don't even know what anyone's wearing tomorrow. I'm at Anthropology trying to find something. And I'm like, it'll be fine. It's all good, because I've been so busy. She's like, oh my gosh, I work really well under pressure. And like when you keep saying hustler. So I went on a walk this morning. I prioritized my health with Erica Morgan. And Erica didn't know we started a podcast. This is one of our very good childhood friends. And she literally was like, you're such a hustler. And so hustler is the word of today. I
Yes,
love
I love it.
hustler. So, what is one of your most memorable moments on stage or in life that has really reaffirmed your why with Tippy Toes?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we have moments. I feel like my favorite moments are the moments where we have kids come into class that are so shy and they don't talk to us. The teacher, they're like hiding behind their mom when they're signing up, things like that. And then they're the one front and center on stage singing and dancing. Our goal with Tippy Toes, while we teach dance, that's our vehicle to reach kids, but is to build self-confidence, positivity, and joy into the lives of kids. And through our music, we write our own music so these kids can go on these adventures and have so much fun pretending like they're dancing on a rainbow or getting gum out of a blue bubblegum tree. We write these songs so their imaginations just break free. And what I have seen in our classes is the impact that it's made, where kids are way more confident from when they start. And so that's probably the thing I'm most proud of. And then really close to that, maybe just hand in hand, is our team of people. Not only the people that I work with in our corporate office, but our franchise owners. I mean, this business would not be where it is without the incredible people that are taking it into their communities and building a business. They're taking this concept and doing it with excellence. And one of our core values is diligence, to do it well. I believe to whom much has been given, much is required. And so we require our franchise owners to be excellent with what they do and with relationships and the way they perform in their classes. And I'm most proud of selecting people that I believe will carry the torch forward, that only make us better and make our brand so strong. And so I'd say those are the two things that stick out to me the most.
Exciting, so rewarding. I feel like everything you've done, it's just it's all with heart, and the people that you have involved in the company, it's the same way. So you've given so much perspective and the leadership and balance to building something, and it's just so nice to have you on the podcast.
Thank you guys. I love what you're doing. I think I think podcasts are so important because it's like people might have questions or want to learn things, but it's almost better to eavesdrop on conversations. And so I think the more you two do this and can give people insight to all different brands, there's so many incredible franchises out there and so many lessons we can all learn from one another. So thank you for choosing me to be on your podcast. I'm so happy Adam connected us, and wish you guys the best too with all of your things that you're juggling.
Thank you. I do want to end with this last question, though. What advice, Sarah, do you have to anyone looking into franchising and being a potential franchise owner? What would
Just
you
tell him to come to Tippi Toes. No, I'm just kidding.
love it? Love it.
I would say make sure you understand the heart of the company. There are a lot of franchise companies that want to grow quickly, which is a strategy of growth. But at the end of the day, who's going to support you long term with your goals? And I think that's one of the most important things. We've had people come to us that have been burned by franchises that just wanted volume. And so I would say just get to know everybody and don't feel pressured into buying quickly. Make sure that you do your homework and really understand the people behind the product that you're looking into.
That's great advice. And I think that's something Catherine and I are really good at, is we really don't show anybody a franchise unless we've talked to them directly and we understand the value of what they're offering, and we make sure that we weed out anybody that's not a good.
And the support is everything. And absolutely, some franchises are out there to scale quickly. And we know how that kind of can go, not always, like if they're investing in the support to go along with the growth. But when the growth is really rapid, that's kind of what falls through. And that's only, it hurts the franchise owner. So I appreciate that advice. I think it's great advice. And thank you, Sarah, for coming on today.
You guys are awesome. Thank you both so much.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for listening. If you want to get any more information about franchising, visit thefranchiseinsiders.com and you can find Morgan and I there. Bye everyone.